Hello and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you again for the recent love and support on yesterday's video as well as the subsequent videos over the past sort of week or so. Naturally, I've been putting out a lot of content regarding the Stader liquid staking platform, as it's the first stake in the road for the Hedera ecosystem and DeFi, more importantly, on Hedera. Obviously, there's a lot more to come. We've got projects like SourceSwap, Hedera Starter, Tangent Finance, and plenty of others in the woodwork that will be bringing out their solutions. However, Stader being the first, I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on it to ensure all of you guys were in the know as to how it all works, as it's got a few different nuances to do with how the platform's launched and it's being backed by the HBAR Foundation and sort of different phases. It's a little bit more complicated than just seeing a APY on a page. That being said, I will just cover one last time some more information regarding that and what phase 2 and 3 may look like for the APY on Stader, just so you guys have a little bit more understanding and probably a complete picture. I will keep the spreadsheet linked in the description for you guys to look at your own leisure. I urge you to tweak the numbers and play around with it, as there is some modeling involved in order to get the projections, especially based on phase 3. I will cover that later on in this video. First things first, I wanted to quickly cover the market overview, as well as some seriously bullish news for XRP. That being said, looking at the daily performance of crypto markets in general, there are shoots of green life amongst the crypto projects, which is fantastic to see. Obviously, Sunday and Monday, we had a bit of a bleed out session quite badly. A lot of that's been triggered by the central equities markets over in the US. For example, inflation is obviously continuing to appear to not be transitory. As a result, you're seeing the treasury yield rates increase massively. A lot of investors are flocking to that to de-risk from their positions. Crypto is obviously correlated massively to the equities markets, and things just tend to follow suit. That's just how markets work. There's nothing specific really happening. It's just more macroeconomic plays at the moment, which is causing this bleed out in the markets in general. That being said, like I mentioned, we have got some green shoots, which is fantastic. I did pick up some more HBAR yesterday, another few thousand HBAR picked up, immediately staked that over on Stader. And I'm looking now to continue building my positions in quant. And I'm going to start averaging back into XRP. I have got an XRP bag that I've had for a long, long time. I've been an XRP since the crash back in 2017 to 2018, so I've been holding on for that for a long, long while now, and I'm probably ready to average back up into that position to build it, especially because there's some more resolution to the case with the SEC potentially on the cards. That being said as well, I just wanted to flick over and show the fear and greed index. We're currently now indicating a 20 on the scale, so extreme fear. As I've said in previous videos, typically when we're in extreme fear, these are really good times to buy. And obviously as you get up towards greed, potentially a time to sell. This goes with the personal sort of snippet that I kind of like to try and hold by, which is, buy on red days, sell on green days. That hopefully tries to help get your mindset in the right place and stops you from selling when you see massive legs down, and also stops you from buying and FOMOing into big green candles. So that's something that I like to do. Personally, like I said, I've been buying over the last 3 to 4 days. I will continue to do so until we move back towards the probably neutral territory where things start to increase again. And then we'll see what happens in the next leg of this journey effectively. Don't forget the fear and greed index, albeit a very good sentiment and macroeconomic indicator, it is a lagging indicator. So even though this says extreme fear, I think the extreme fear period realistically was yesterday rather than today. So this might be like a day or so out at the moment as it currently stands. Nevertheless, still buying, bottom line. So what's the XRP news? So absolutely crazy sort of revelation, something I didn't think we'd see so shortly after my recent videos covering it. The Judge Netburn has completely beat down the proposal from the SEC. So the motions for reconsideration, a vehicle for relitigating old issues, presenting the case under new theories, securing a rehearing on the merits, or otherwise taking a second bite of the apple, have been dismissed. So the judge has effectively dismissed the SEC's rebuttal against the filings, which is great to see. We can see here as well, the SEC's motion for reconsideration has been completely denied by Sarah Netburn. Clarification is granted. The clerk for court is respectfully directed to terminate the motion at ECF number 429, so ordered, which was dated as of yesterday. So this was really bullish news for Ripple in general, and it looks like now that there's potentially a settlement on the cards. The SEC is running out of time. I think there are some dates on the case for the middle of this year. Ripple now has the upper hand in this case, and it looks like this David versus Goliath match is going to repeat history effectively, and David will win this battle, i.e. Ripple. So I'm going to continue now to build my Ripple position in the anticipation that Ripple wins this case. Naturally, it's still very risky. It could go the other way, but I will continue to build that XRP position now in anticipation for the middle of this year, when things look like they may end up getting resolved and we may see some serious price action for XRP. Like I said, a lot of the XRP pricing over the last couple of years has been completely overshadowed by this case. Once this case is lifted and potentially Coinbase, for example, relists the coin and other exchanges relist the coin, you're going to see a ton of volatility and volume enter the market for XRP, and the price action is probably going to be quite mental. So really bullish stuff on the cards there in general. Just wanted to cover this as well from the Hedera subreddit. There's been lots of stuff again on Twitter. I think HBAR Price has been tweeting out some more sort of FUD surrounding Hedera. This guy's here saying founders dumping again. They're doing it so hard. This time it's dragged everyone else down with them. So you see Phantom there dropped down 14%. As I mentioned, majority of this is macro cycles. It's got nothing to do in particular with the Hedera Foundation sort of dumping bags. Majority of projects were down. This is just some general sort of FUD in general. So I wanted to cover that. Wanted to also cover this before I move on to the Stader APY stuff again. Great post here by Range C over on the Hedera subreddit, just sort of talking again about my video, saying my initial estimations of TVL growth are way off. So I assumed a 5% continual growth rate. The reason I did that is because it was just easier than me assuming a very high percentage growth rate initially and then a lower one. Obviously, all models are never perfect. However, they're just kind of indicative. I appreciate that the APYs were obviously slightly lower because the TVL exploded immediately. I kind of saw that happening. That being said, I kind of feel like the TVL now won't increase as much into the future. I think it may end up stagnating for a little while, so we will see these higher APYs for a sort of slightly longer period than expected. That's what I currently think. Talking about that, I'm just going to quickly flick over to the spreadsheet. Like I said, this will be linked in the description for you guys to view at your own sort of leisure as well. And I'm just going to quickly cover what's going to happen again to the APY during the phase 2 and phase 3 emission rates when the total value locked surpasses 200 million and then obviously surpasses the 400 million HBAR. So if I flick back over to the spreadsheet, I've now added this sort of graph and obviously attempted to work out effectively the minimum APY for phase 3. Now obviously naturally this is dynamic because of that formula. It was the 50 billion minus the sum of all emissions in the period divided by the number of days until a specific date in June or July. I can't remember what the number was now, but all the calculations are beneath this graph that anyone can look at. I've now assumed a sort of 3% growth rate. Like I said before, you can pop in any sort of number that you wish into this, but the graph now for the APY against total value locked takes this kind of shape. So we're currently sat up here at 111% APY. What will gradually happen as the total value locked continues to increase, so this is an inverse relationship between APY and total value locked. As the TVL increases, we're going to see it begin to bottom out at roughly sort of 54.75%. That is the minimum APY you will see during phase 1. So it bottoms out around here roughly, and then the emission rate spikes back up to 500,000 as you hit the next sort of block or the next phase. That's going to push the APY back up towards sort of 100% again, and then again that relationship continues as the total value locked begins to increase again over time. That rate drops, and then we hit a minimum APY in phase 2 of 45.63%. And then this is where it kind of changes, and it depends on what growth rate you assume. Like I said, I've assumed a 3% growth rate. A 3% compounding growth rate is kind of crazy anyway, because then you get to the 181st day and you're already at the circulating supply cap of 20 billion tokens. Now, there is no way on earth that you will ever see the full circulating supply of HBAR end up within the Stader Staking platform. So a 3% compounded daily rate is really aggressive anyway. You may see a very high spike within the first couple of weeks, and then it's going to drop down to a very low percentage of TVL growth rate, in my opinion. That's why I've just assumed 3% to kind of spread the load effectively out across some days, so you can actually model it without having to do sort of loads of crazy work. So that being said, 3% growth rate, you're going to get to this period here, and then again, it's going to shoot back up. And in this example, once you surpass the 400 million TVL, roughly 50 days in, the rate's going to then spike back up to 92% with roughly 1 million HBAR added per epoch. If I increase this number to say a 7% growth rate, you can see we then hit the cap earlier. And because you've hit the cap earlier, the emission rate and rewards have increased over that period, you then end up with a lower emission rate available for phase 3. Because don't forget, phase 3 is effectively whatever is left in that grant between the end of phase 2 being hit and that cutoff point in June or July. So it's kind of dynamic, and it really depends on how the growth rate for the TVL ends up looking like. Like I said, maybe 3 to 5%, I think, continually is a safe bet. I think we're going to see continued high APYs over the coming sort of weeks. I really don't see us jumping in TVL consistently every single day, day in, day out. I may be completely wrong on that and have misjudged it. However, don't forget, the Hedera community in general is still fairly small. There are people that are on exchanges where they cannot remove the tokens from the exchanges anyway. There are some people that don't want to. You still can't use ledgers. Any tokens on ledgers aren't accessible. This all limits the amount of HBAR that can enter this pool to dilute the emissions. That being said, I'm going to make no predictions on what happens to the APY. Just here to show you what the relationship is between the total value locked and the APY. It's naturally an inverse one, and you know, the rewards are still fairly decent. We can see here at roughly, it depends on growth rate, but at roughly 4 billion tokens in the pool, the APY is still 10%. So it looks like we're going to have double-digit staking regardless of what happens in terms of the growth, which is good, especially because I put a video out back in sort of January saying that we'd see double-digit, potentially up to 20% staking rewards on Hedera. I don't think many people took it seriously. However, I think people are realizing now that it's very feasible that we will continue to see double-digit rewards for a long period of time. So that's fantastic news in general. And like I said, this will be linked in the description for you guys. Please take a look. I urge you to make a copy of it, tweak the numbers, tweak the growth rate. You can do whatever you want with it, and sort of let me know what numbers you get out of it. I've kind of built it for you guys to use and, you know, for your own understanding. Thank you very much for watching this video. The next video, or the next videos, I think on Friday, I've been in talks with 𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗦 from the 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗙𝗦𝗧 team, and he has sort of given me a kind of way, a bridge in order to get 𝗟𝗡𝗙 tokens from the Binance Smart Chain across to Ethereum, and then from Ethereum into the HTS. So I may put out a tutorial on Friday of how to transfer any 𝗟𝗡𝗙 tokens you have on Binance Smart Chain across to Ethereum, and then potentially to use in a staking pool once the alpha phase sort of ends. I may also do a video of buying directly on Ethereum and showing you how to do that. So there'll be a couple of different videos showing 𝗟𝗡𝗙, the staking platform, how to get your tokens onto HTS, as I know a lot of you have had questions around that. Plus, there'll be some more videos in the future on sort of SaucerSwap. I'm thinking they're probably gearing up for some kind of announcement in the coming weeks. So that'll be interesting to see. And don't forget, Hedera Starter towards the end of April is going to be launching their IDO, where you can pick up those HStart tokens. So I'll be trying to gather some more information on the Hedera Starter platform and some more key dates and what's going to be happening with that. Still loads of stuff to come. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. Make sure you're subscribed as well. Go give me a follow over on Twitter. Almost at 500 followers on Twitter, which is fantastic to see. Nearly 1,500 subscribers on here on YouTube. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers for watching.